All right, hey, welcome back to the Accelerator Show. I'm Chris. Got Paul with me. Joe had to tap out early. He had something personal going on, but we made it. Paul, we're here. And Paul, you brought up Paul must be a prolific Amazon shopper because you pull up a item which I don't think you're buying for your family. But what do you think? You showed me this portable toilet. It's a car toilet,
Yep.
mobile emergency toilet urinal, portable potty for adults, children, pregnant women, old man for outdoor emergency, camping, hiking, car travel, and a traffic jam. Very interesting. What do you think?
So many thoughts. My first thought is if you look at this on Amazon, you can buy the blue one for $80 or the yellow one for $142. Why are you buying a yellow one? I mean, but colors aside, there is no circumstance where you can utilize this and still look at somebody in the eyes. I mean, this has to be like mission critical. There's not a rest stop for another 100 miles and you're in crisis. But even then you just pull off the side of the road and I can't fathom a situation where you actually use this thing.
Well,
still maintain your dignity.
And this is just for number one, right?
Well, that's what they say, but it's being used for number two, which at that point we're no longer friends.
More disgusting.
If you number two in this thing in my car, we're done.
Oh, yes.
I can't talk to you again. It's just
Well, you bring up a ton of issues. So let's try to get to each of them. Do you think, and I don't see dimensions or, I
saw dimensions.
So it looks like dimensions for the yellow is the same as blue. Like I initially thought looking that maybe the yellow was a little bit bigger. But it looks like it's the same dimensions, right? In terms of what it can carry.
I think the yellow one, it's just more of a close-up picture. I think they're the same dimensions, which it's not giving you much wiggle room.
Here's the other thing, okay? In marketing, you want to showcase the best of stuff. But I'm looking at these pictures on the left-hand side. Very strange. There's a picture of a young, attractive woman holding this up with a big smile on her face. I thought that was kind of weird.
She ain't ever using that thing.
Well, obviously, young attractiveness does sell, but she looks like she's very excited to have the potty. I mean, it's not. I would say this: if you feel that you need to buy one, you're definitely not advertising. You're not like sharing on Facebook, like, "Hey, look, I just bought a portable urinal," and you're not going to share it. If you do, you're depressed, you're sad. You're like, man, look what my life's become where I have to carry around one of these things. Look at this picture of this young woman. She looks excited. She's like, man, someone bought me a portable potty. Isn't this great? She's got a smile on her face. I find it kind of weird.
Oh, I'm looking at the reviews.
No.
And Jazilla uses it for number one and number two.
Jazilla. Yeah, I gotta look at the reviews here. I love his questions and answers too. So, why does it have a seatbelt? If it's used when the vehicle's running, it better fix the person and toilet together when it encounters the brakes. That way, it won't cause trouble.
Yeah, you don't want that spilling.
Yes.
Here's another question. There are some people who makes it sound like this has been an answer to their prayers.
What is the weight limit on that sucker? That's literally what the question is. Hello, the maximum weight limit of a toilet is 370 pounds, and the
No.
capacity of the collection bag is 1,000 milliliters. I don't know what 1,000 milliliters is. That doesn't sound like much, is it?
If we were in Canada, we might know the answer to that. 1,000 milliliters, you said?
Yeah.
Let me see.
And Terrence Banach also said, I am 220 pounds. How much more? No idea. Well, if you're 220 pounds, you're fine. How long are the seatbelts? I'm not sure why that's a question.
Okay, 1,000 milliliters is just over 4 cups.
Ooh. I don't know, man.
So if you're number 2ing in this thing, you're rolling the dice.
Yes, you definitely are. And again, I mean, if you go number 2 in that thing, please pull the window down and just throw the whole thing out to the car right away. You can't leave that in your car.
You can't possibly. I'm having a hard enough time imagining going number 1 with this thing with other people in the car. Who's the guy who you're driving down your car pulling the work? You hear some shuffling in the back seat. Next thing you know, Frank's sitting on this thing. He's going his morning number 2. How do you not throw him out of the car?
And the only acceptable thing is he's got to throw the whole thing out right after he does. And even then, it's weird. But you got to take the toilet.
No, it comes with a scrub brush.
Yeah, no, you're not scrubbing it. You're throwing the whole thing out. And I know I'm not pro litter, but you just got to throw it out and got to get the heck out of it. Yeah, just speed away.
I mean, I think about when I take my dog for a walk and I pick up her number 2s, and you tie that bag as tight as you can to see it. That smell does not stay confined. There's nothing you can do with this after Frank's gone his number 2 to keep that from reeking the entire car. Not only while it's in there, you can take that thing out of the car. A month later, you are still smelling Frank's number 2 in that car.
I like the other question. I'm looking for a travel toilet. It seems like with the slant design, it might be more efficient to use this backwards. Can anyone comment on this? And no, it wasn't Deontay Johnson, since Deontay Johnson likes to run backwards after making catches.
I mean, do they realize that car seats are typically slanted towards your back? Yes. And so if you flip it, you're just creating a waterfall.
Yes. Does this urinal have a leak-proof lid? I know the lid locks and doesn't fall off. I don't know if the lid's actually leak-proof. It's a well-made, sturdy product. There's no sharp edges. Yeah, could you imagine using that with sharp edges? It's not too rough. It's comfortable for adults and kids. It's a low profile when not in use. Yeah, Paul, it's got a low profile.
But it's what, like 4 inches deep? I think I saw the measurement. Let's say whatever you're doing, which 1 or 2, whichever, and you're riding along and you hit a pothole. If you're using this in Western Pennsylvania, you're hitting potholes. You've got a whole nother problem on your hands. Possibly literally on your hands.
Yes. Oh, that's rough. Here's another question. I mean, call the Better Business Bureau. It says it takes 2 to 3 months to arrive. And, the seller's like, well, it's estimated arrival time set by Amazon, but the seller says the estimated delivery time is 15 to 25 days. I mean, we talk about what you call it.
They want to give you time to have a second thought about what you've just purchased.
Yeah. Well, isn't it what do you call it? We have inflation, but we have like a goods issue. You think there's a goods issue going on here? Darn COVID. It's making the portable toy industry hard to fulfill orders. I mean, come on.
It's made people want to go in their cars that much more. Or what?
Well, I mean, to fulfill the orders. I mean, it's probably hard to find people to make these portable toys. I don't know, supply chain issues. Darn COVID, it's really slowed us down on portable toilets. But I'm with
the
you.
fact that they've sold enough to have reviews is scary to me.
Well, yeah, look at the reviews. Everyone's all excited. I mean, people are like, hey, I love to see it. Jazzilla. It works for adults, 5 stars. I've used mine a few times. No leakage, no mess. Number
She
1
needs
and
to be
2
locked
of
up.
exclamation.
She needs to be locked up. I have my daughter's friends don't live that close to us, and so we have to drive a bit of a distance when she gets together with her friends. And if I'm killing time waiting to pick her up and I find myself needing to go, I've never thought, I wish there was something I could have right here in the car and just do what I got to do. I go to Subway, I buy a cookie, and then I go use the bathroom. This shouldn't be a thing.
Jazilla says, there's no way I'm ever using public bathrooms again. It's perfect if you're trying to minimize risk. Make sure you buy the bags too. So, Jazilla,
minimize risk. It's nothing but risk. Well, everything about it is a risk.
Just think about this. When we first looked at it, you're like, all right, what happens on my worst day ever when I have to go? And you're looking at this like, okay, this is the worst day of your life. Okay, at least you have something to go into. Maybe that's why you buy it. Jazilla's like, man, I don't have to go to public bathrooms again. I got a place to go. I mean, she's using this a lot. She's cutting down travel time. Maybe Jazilla's a guy. I don't know. But, Jazilla sounds a little bit stoked about this,
It's way too excited about it. I'm deeply concerned about Jazilla.
Laura Lee 55. It's kind of expensive. I could have bought a 5-gallon bucket and a pull ring for the seat at $6.
You know what's cheaper than all of those options? A cookie at Subway.
Yes. Oh, man. Yeah, a lot of people are saying Wish was a little bigger, like the product was a little bit small.
You know what's bigger? A normal toilet.
Susan Ward writes, the product's too small to fit adults, and I am a small-framed woman. It's more for a small child toddler and very cheaply made. Yeah, Susan's like, you can go a bigger one.
They're saying, well, William Taft could have used this thing.
Yeah. Heather writes, I can't believe how many women are writing about this. So easy to use, and for adults, I work in my car, and this is the best purchase I have made for my bladder.
Oh, my goodness. Why does she work in her car?
Well, I can imagine. Some of these people are like, oh, in my worst day, here we go. But now you've got people like, man, this is saving me time. I can just go in here and everything's fine.
I mean, what's the strategy? Like, do you go into your car prepared to use it? I mean, because you can't just keep driving and pull the pants down and hop on this thing. Is it really saving you that much more time than pulling into the gas station?
Oh, man. I don't know, man. I think people probably have...
Is she keeping this thing in her car for the whole 8-hour workday in her car? Like,
maybe she has
four cups this thing holds.
Maybe she has her pants down the whole time, so she doesn't have to take her pants,
Because there's no way you're driving and one hand on the wheel, one hand you're pulling your pants down and then shimming this thing underneath you. You got to stop anyway. Just stop where there's a normal toilet.
There's a review from Chris, and this wasn't me. I didn't write this review.
Sure.
Did you see how long this was? Like a 500-word review about this. Oh man. Trying to summarize this. Chris writes, again, not me, you can lower your risk of COVID-19. They'll allow you to avoid busy public bathrooms. Chris wrote this in 2020 in the middle of COVID. There you go, Paul. I mean, we gave COVID tests to everybody. We should have given public toilets. We've avoided, going to public bathrooms by having this, portable toilet.
Well, how about that? Was there a rush of people catching COVID from toilets? I mean, how does that work?
Well, there was a risk saying, hey, if you put your butt on a toilet, somebody has COVID, they're on the same toilet, that makes it hard. I mean, I guess I could kind of see the point, but I don't think the answer is, hey, buy a portable toilet so you can take your dumps in there instead of going to the public bathroom. I would just go to the public bathroom and say, if God wants to take me and if I get COVID, oh well,
I mean, most women I know don't even sit on public toilets anyway. They do the hover. So I think that the risk of, I mean, unless you're licking the toilet seat, I'm not sure how much but I mean, having your own feces in your car for 8 hours, there's got to be some brewing from that.
I mean, I understand, again, in your worst day, maybe you want to have that there. But it doesn't send a horrible message about America because we love this. I mean, and I'm reading reviews of people saying, man, this will save me time and everything else. And people are high-fiving each other like, this is great. This is a horrible thing that we're saying about Americans when we're loving this. I mean,
if your schedule is so tight you can't even go to a normal toilet, you got to ease up on your commitments.
Americans are eating crap. They're like, man, I don't want to waste that time to take a dump in the public bathroom. I'm on the go. Let's just,
I can eat Taco Bell in the car and it can go straight through me.
Yeah, you got your pants down. You're ready to take a dump. I mean, this is the worst thing we could say about America. I mean, I'm reading this going, what's happened to our great country? I mean, this is just rough, man.
People are always saying, oh, my daughter, the beginning of the school year had to write an essay, is America the greatest country in the world? No. And if I had known about this then, I would have been like, here, opening paragraph. Is America the greatest country in the world? We invented a car toilet. No, we're not. Yes, we've got deep, deep problems.
Yeah, it's very strange because, like you said, I mean, you said, hey, if somebody does this in my car, they're out and everything. I used to be into, there's a YouTube series about bands who would show off their buses, and I'm a huge Switchfoot guy, and Switchfoot was one of the bands featured. And, the lead singer was like, yeah, there's a toilet here, but no, we don't want anyone going in there. If you have to go, we're going to stop the bus. You're going to go do your business elsewhere. So I like Switchfoot. I agree with their opinion. And again, that's on a tour bus. It's not your little car that you're running around in. I mean, if on a tour bus where they say, hey, you're not going number 2 here, definitely. No number 2 in a small car. I mean, come on.
I mean, how... You can't use this when there's other people in the car. I mean, I think that should be like signed into law. President Biden, please get on this. This must not be used in the presence of anybody else, first and foremost, if you have to use this thing. I mean, imagine, me, you, and Joe, we decided to do a road trip and record a episode on location, and you and Joe are talking in the front, and you just start hearing these noises from me in the back.
Yeah.
How do we stay friends?
Yeah, it destroys friendships. That's rough. This must be from Amazon. There's a protection plan. I don't know how you get protection plan on one of these things. This must be just a general thing for Amazon.
Does it include those little paper sheets that you get at like public restrooms? Is that the protection plan? You can put a little piece of paper down before you.
Well, I mean, isn't saying you can replace it? Well, how can you replace it? I mean, what's it leaked or something? Like I'm trying to figure out what the complaint could be. I mean,
you don't clean it out. You just send it as is back to
yes, yeah, I know.
It's
Man.
like those. What are those? That there's that one lab who you can ship them your stool sample. Like what?
Oh yeah. Oh yes. I mean, they're probably like this. Maybe they built this. Maybe this is from them.
How do you take that box to the post office?
Yes.
They ask you all those questions. Is there anything fragile? Anything liquid? It's like, well, I guess there's some liquid.
Yeah, it's just rough. And the messaging that you write on this, I mean, listen to this. The protective effect of a seatbelt can make the buttocks fit together with the product to prevent accidents caused by poor road conditions. I've worked in marketing. Can you imagine writing that sentence? I mean, I'd be throwing it out there. I mean,
oh, see, I thought the seatbelt was just to keep the toilet in place. So you're seatbelting yourself into it?
Yeah, into the wreckage.
Oh my goodness. You're just like vacuum sealing yourself.
Oh my. Paul, you picked a good one. This is gold. I mean, I knew this fits in the tone of the show, but the more we talked about it, I mean, this is rough.
So you seatbelt yourself in, vacuum seal yourself, so you go to the bathroom and give yourself a butt hickey at the same time.
Oh yeah. You want to be far away from that. That's what I'm saying. I'm looking below, and I don't know if it's my own personal choices or not, but they have some other types of travel toilets or whatever. I don't know if you can see this one here. There is a. I gotta send it. I'll send you the link on Facebook.
Could you imagine this being pitched on Shark Tank?
Yes. Well, check this out. All right, this is another. It's a similar product. I don't know if you get the same similar products. It's an outdoor camping toilet. It's actually large. I mean, it's going to carry more stuff. I guess there's advantage there. And it's only $40, but there's a guy. It looks like a model or something. Oh, he's advertising. He's got a smirk on his face. He's wearing a tie and dress pants. It just looks weird. It's
so they're defeating the point of the toilet in that their pants are up.
Yes.
I mean,
he looks happy. He's like, look at me. He's like, look at me. I'm on a toilet.
Oh, there's a video.
Oh no. What, with this one?
Yeah. If you keep scrolling through the pictures, you get to a video. This guy on a couch, and he's. I hope he's not going to demonstrate, but
a guy on the couch. Oh yes, I see that. All right. Well, let's.
Hey guys, so today I'm reviewing this portable toilet setup that we got off of Amazon. Now,
okay.
This thing is seriously.
I don't know if you can hear for this, but the guy said, "Hey, I'm reviewing this portable toilet."
Having to run to the restroom in the middle of the night, in the dark, when it's cold, trying to, remember the toilet paper and stuff. So being able to have this set up in our tent.
He's not showing his face, and there's probably a reason for that.
Just making everything more comfortable all around. Now this thing, nice and compact when it's in the bag, and really it sets up in a few seconds. So it's really easy to set up. Might take you a minute when you first do it, but all you do, open this up, slide the bottom in just like the video they have, stretches it out. Should be easy. There we go. Stretches it out.
He can't put it together.
Put your bag in, put the lid on, and you're done. That simple. Now it looks a little not sturdy, right? Because of the way the sides are built. But actually, once you have it all together with the lid, it's nice and sturdy. It's not going to go anywhere. Now the seat itself, as you can see here, is definitely narrower than a regular toilet seat. So don't expect to have the same comfort at home, but when you're camping, it totally works. Or if you're in the car and you need something quick, you have this right here. Now,
okay, wait a minute. I got a question about that.
Extra.
That's very tall to put in the car.
That way you don't have to go and buy it. You pack right here so you can start using it right away. Now, it's not the lightest thing, so this is definitely not something you take backpacking, but for keeping it in the car for emergency uses.
You take backpacking. Can you imagine carrying that around?
We were using
the picture shows a guy backpacking, doesn't it?
But the bucket, you can't collapse that down.
So you're carrying your filth around.
You literally have a guy backpacking.
We're not pro litter, but no, you cannot carry your filth around. I mean, if you do that,
this is all great. It's collapsible, but after you use it, you can't collapse that.
You just leave it. You kick it down the hill and you run fast the other way. And yeah, I don't want to endorse.
So definitely recommend this if you do any camping, especially with family, or you need something.
Yeah, I love the last picture. You can go to the bathroom and leave your family in the same time. You can use this while you're eating your picnic lunch.
And so with your family, what, you just have all your family's waste together? I mean, that brings the family together. Look, all the waste is mixed together. I mean, come on.
Oh, it holds up to 400 pounds. How much are you putting in there?
Well, I'm not endorsing it, but the other one had the 4 little cups. I mean, 400 pounds, you have your worst day ever on the bathroom, and you still have room to go. The other place, man, you better be number 1 or number 2 and very small, or you're in trouble. So maybe that's more American because, we eat horrible. We have big dumps. I think that justifies America a little bit more. So, I don't know, Paul. You outdid yourself with this one. I like when you suggest stuff, but
I understand that there are people who, elderly, they can't go a long time. They don't have the bladder control, but that's why they make Depends. Little children, again, that's why they make pull-ups and diapers. This is why there's frequently gas stations and places that you can pull off and utilize indoor plumbing like we're supposed to. This is deeply troubling to me, but I don't know which is. Have you seen the golf clubs that are hollow and you can go inside the golf club and these deals?
Wow.
Oh, I'll have to send those over. We're getting a little too. We're spending too much time thinking about disturbing ways to go to the bathroom.
I worked with a marketing place that had like a model company, and it's not a model like you think of, like it's people who could be actors or people who could be in marketing shots or pictures or anything. So I'm looking at these 6 pictures, and 5 of them had people in them. And yeah, a couple of them do have the container in there. Either these guys weren't told what the container was going to be for, or they must have been paid pretty well. Because can you imagine? I mean, you're an actor, so you're portraying something in there. Do you want to be pictured in that ad? How much would you have to get paid for to be pictured in an ad like that? Because you look at no one in those marketing pictures is doing the deed or anything. But man, I don't want to be pictured with that where podcasts and people looking at that could be like, oh, does that look like Paul Yanchek there? Come on, you would have to pay me thousands, millions maybe to be in an ad like that.
This is just concerning.
I was thinking about this, and this might be a little bit too personal, but Paul, you're a pastor. Sometimes, I share my story. When I have to go, I have to go. Has there ever been a time where you had to go during a sermon?
No.
Could this help you during a sermon?
I don't preach that long.
Well, I mean, you're doing a sermon, you're making some good points, God's speaking through you. If you have to go, what are you going to do? Hey, sorry, guys.
I got my little portable toilet behind the pulpit here.
Yeah, time out. You don't want to say time out. You got that portable toilet, You might want to say, hey, everyone, put your headphones in during this time. You don't want to hear what's going on here. Oh, man. Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen that. I mean, my dad's a pastor. I've been going to church my whole life. I don't think I ever saw a pastor do a bathroom break timeout.
I mean, the typical service is an hour long, and usually you relieve yourself before the service starts, and there's usually not a need to, bless you, to have something at the ready underneath the pulpit there to.
Yes. Maybe that's why I couldn't be a pastor, because I got that urgency. When I have to go, I have to go. I don't think I've ever walked out too many sermons, though, even as an audience member, has had to go, but I don't know. You just sent me this golf thing. At least on that golf thing, they say it's a funny gag gift. I mean, these other ones aren't funny. You know what I mean? At least for the golf thing you get, and everyone's like, ha, 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 ha,
The problem is, if it's really a gag gift, don't make it actually usable.
Yes. Oh, my goodness. Fun stuff. I'm not trying to go on. I mean, we've got into some time, but I'm stunned. This is amazing. So, I wonder if we're going to get any bounce back. Will there be a lot of sales from people listening to this podcast? Are they going to get a bump of sales because people got all excited after listening to us talk about it? Probably not.
Unlikely. But my guess is if one of our listeners buys it, that will be a 10% increase in their sales.
Yes. Because here's my fear. People are going to listen to it, and we're ripping it to shreds. And people are like, well, that's great. I have to go, I think we're probably the only two people in the world that don't like this. I think more people like this than we care to admit. I don't know.
I hope not.
Very rough stuff.
Still clinging to my hope for humanity. We have not sunk that low.
It's quite possible it could happen. All right, well, let's do some previews or just some quick promos. It's getting late. What you got coming up, Paul? Anything? Any horn shows? We'll be using your sermons. Check them out on our podcast. But
actually, I have a couple things I can't mention publicly now, but there's a couple things that could be coming to fruition very soon that if they come about, I'll be very excited to share. Wow. One of them involving the hot metal horns.
Oh, very nice. You're not coming up with any portable toilet ideas.
No, we're not.
That's why you brought this up. You're like, hey, here's a bad portable toilet. I'm coming up with a much better one. I see you working, Paul. That's awful. All right. Okay. Yeah. So stay tuned, in touch for more announcements from Paul. If you don't have enough reasons to listen to this, hey, listen for big announcements from Paul. For me, yeah, I guess I'm in the same boat as you are, Paul. I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on for me work-wise, but yeah, hey, follow me on Twitter, Chris Pugh Edits. I'm doing some work with a local TV station, NBC4 in Columbus. Man, Paul, it's been fun. I never thought of myself doing TV news. I'm not on air, thank God, but I'm behind the scenes. But it's fun working with anchors and reporters and everything. It's been pretty good today.
Nice.
Yeah, it's a pretty good staff there. I don't know too much about them. Very friendly people. I will say, Paul, I never really was a weather guy. For as much as news I've been in, I haven't done much with the weather. And being at a station where you talk to weather guys every day, man, I feel like I'm all in the know. It's really good.
Nice. So,
Uh,
yeah, I know this can put you in an awkward spot on air, but do all those weather people actually know what they're talking about? Or is there just like one guy there who actually gets the weather forecast and they all just regurgitate the one guy's forecast?
they all are pretty smart. Um, Ben, he's one of the older weather guys at the station. He's talked to me a lot, and he really legitimately knows the stuff. I'll be honest, I think I can say this. Really, the only knock people have is, as weather guys, they try not to play up things too much, but are, some of the higher ups at the station say, look, any weather's a big story. Like, for example, we're taping this on a Friday. Sunday, we might get 2 inches of snow. And you think, 2 inches of snow, not a big deal. But higher ups in the station say, look, that can mess with people's weekend plans. So we need to know about that. And so sometimes weather guys, you're not overhyping the weather, but people want to know about the weather. And if you're, traveling to see family and that could, cause impact. So I think the weather guys are smart. I think they probably don't realize that even stuff that isn't that big of a deal really matters to the audience people. Yeah.
Well, I think that's why there's a weather segment on the news, because people want to plan their lives, but you don't need to do the promo saying, "Can the coming blizzard affect your weekend plans?"
Well,
maybe
it's
a little overselling it.
Our weather radar page is one of the highest traffic pages, and really, they don't overplay it like the blizzard thing, but they play it to say a Friday night newscast weather plays better than, hey, let's analyze what's happening in the state house. It's not from an overhyped sense. It's kind of based on, hey, if you're watching the news, what do you want to see? And obviously, all news organizations have the, they want to tell the truth. I mean, you got to for sure share it. But again, it's more of a question of, on a Friday night, do you want to see weather reports or do you want to see state house reports or whatever else the case might be? So,
or like some news stations I've seen will promo stuff like, this isn't a huge exaggeration, but what's in your house right now that could be killing your children? Find out at 11. And then 11:28, they say, well, if your toddler goes up into the attic and eats the insulation, there's a chance they could die. Like, really? You scared me at 8 o'clock with that?
You and I both grew up in the Cleveland area. That happens a lot more in Cleveland area TV stations.
Yes, it does.
I can come up with a couple. I will say, to the credit of Columbus, I'm not just saying this because I'm employed by them, I don't see as much of the crazy, insane stuff there as you see in other places. It was funny. Kids Bop, Ohio State Fair announced their first concert for this year. They were even questioning, do we even make that into a story? I'm like, yeah, you got to, because people care about that stuff.
Kids Bop is huge.
Yeah. Well, it was funny. One of our competitors actually had that number 2 on the news. Like, that was the second story, which we're like, yeah, that's a little high, but it's a story. It's pretty good. But no, I will say, again, I'm sounding like I'm being interrogated because I work there. Thanks, Paul. But honestly, they play it pretty even keel. I'm impressed because, I'm looking at stations like 19 and Fox 8 sometimes go a little hardcore crazy. They don't do that. I don't sense that like I do in other places. So
good for them.
Yeah, good for them. It's pretty good. So, hey, one other thing. Let's bring this up real quick. It was funny. One big news story down here. CJ Stroud. We should have mentioned a different show. It'll be interesting. I know you're not too crazy about Ohio State quarterbacks. I'm not sure what he's going to do in the pros. There was some question where he may have actually stayed in college for another year, but he's probably going to go top 5. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. I'm not sold on any of the quarterbacks in the draft, but one guy's going to make it. I'm just not sure who to put all my, what do you call it? Not money on, but
odds are it won't be a Buckeye quarterback.
Yeah, Stroud had really good Peach Bowl against Georgia. I mean, Ohio State scored 41. Georgia came back the next game, only gave up 7 points to TCU. Stroud went out pretty strong. I'm not sure about the arm strength. His touch was really good. You got to have the arm strength, or you might be in trouble in the press. That's where I'm a little iffy on Stroud in general. So, yeah, that's pretty much about it. Check out our podcast. Lots of stuff. We have Steelers stuff. What did we do? We talked about handsome presidents, and the more I think about it, I'm like, why did we do that for half hour? But it was fun, I guess. Yeah.
So not just handsome, but looking good in the swimsuit.
Yes. If only my dad could hear that now. He'd be like, what are you doing? Oh, boy. I'll hear about that one day in heaven, I'm sure. So.
What the people want to hear.
Yes, what the people want to hear. All right, well, man, I'm still awake, but it's late, and we got to finish up. So for Paul, this is Chris, and yeah, for Joe, who was on for several segments, have a great night, everybody.
Hi, I'm Jennifer Mooney. Welcome to what is our new Hope Interrupted podcast based on the work from our book, Hope Interrupted, that I co-authored with my good friend Byron McCauley.
Hey, Jennifer, I'm looking forward to this podcast as much as I was looking forward to writing this book with you. We hope to interview some high impact folks as well as have a little fun.
We're going to cover stories of hope. To learn more about our podcast and our book, please visit www.hopeinterrupted.com.